Hello, Facebook. This is Tammy Dunnett, and I have a question for you. What do these socks, yes, they're my socks, and divorce have in common? How are the two connected? If you have an idea, go ahead and put your answers in the comment box. And while you're there, just let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know if you're watching from Canada, the States, and where in the States or Canada you're watching from, or even overseas. But I'd love to see what your answers are. Socks and divorce. I'm going to give you just a second to think about that. And I'm going to tell you a little story about these socks in particular, my socks. Excuse me. And how we often focus on the wrong thing. So if you're just joining me now, I just asked the question about what do socks and divorce have in common? And you can go ahead and enter into the comment section what you think that answer is. So the thing about socks and divorce is that they're not connected. In fact, most people focus on the wrong thing, which is the object, the socks, and they don't think about what do the socks mean or what do the socks represent and why are the socks so darn important? Now, for many of you who have had me as a teacher in the past, you know that I've talked about my socks on the floor in the house many times because this used to be a source of aggravation for my husband. And I used to just blow it off like, oh my God, seriously, they're socks, they're on the floor. Look, I'm gonna throw them on the floor over there. There they sit. They're not hurting anybody. They're not doing anything. You're not gonna trip on them. Although thinking about them on the hardwood floor, you might slip. That could be a hazard. I never leave them on the hardwood floor though. And so I'm gonna take it a step backwards and talk to you about this one day I walked into the house and I was excited. I'd had a good day at work. I was driving home, listening to the tunes, and I thought I can't wait to get home and just kind of share this energy and this vibe and see how it continues on. And I walk in and the house is clean, the carpet's been vacuumed, and I see my husband, I'm all excited, like, wow, the house is clean. And I look up and he's got this stern look on his face. And the only thing he did was he picked up my socks. He goes, do you know where I found these? And I just could not believe that that was the issue I was talking and greeted with when I walked in the door. So I don't know how many of you have had a similar issue, but go ahead and put in the comments. Me too, been there. Just let me know if you have experienced something similar where you're having a great day, you walk in, and you were kind of greeted with a look what you've done scenario. And so I see these darn socks in his hand, and he's like almost accusatory about how they have destroyed his energy and his mood and his potential for the day. And again, I'm like, they're just socks. Well, I mean, that conversation didn't go well, right? Because I wasn't in the mindset. I hadn't prepared myself. I didn't learn how to have a conversation about something that mattered to him that didn't matter to me. And that's really where we were. We were on two different spectrums. I'm over here where, big deal, they're socks. He's over here where like, big deal, they're socks. And so I had to find, how do I navigate over here to understand him, and how can I have him navigate maybe a little bit over here to just relax a little bit about the socks? But we needed to find a solution. So one day I wasn't really happy with the fact that these socks just kept popping up. So if you came into my house right now, you would probably find socks at the front door. You would probably find socks beside the couch, under the kitchen table. You might find them in the back living room, and on the floor in my bedroom, underneath the bed, inside the bed sheets. Like, my socks are everywhere. And I know some of you are probably going, oh my God, like, this chick has a problem with socks. It's not so much socks. I have a problem with feet that get warm. But one day I decided to engage with him and really understand what is up with these socks. Here's what I learned. When I suspend my judgment, now this is part of the framework that I teach in my Conquer Conflict Masterclass. I'm going to give you a little piece of that here today. But when I suspend my judgment, and I just kind of put a little time in there, and I try to understand the other person, great things can happen. So what I learned from him is that those socks on the floor, they weren't harmless in his mind. Those socks represented a dirty house. Even though the rest of the house is clean, there's that single pair, two socks on the floor, and that in his mind represented a dirty home. He was overlooking everything else that was clean, and he was so focused on what those socks meant. Now, for me to continue to disregard that was really doing a disservice in our relationship. So when I understood the depth, the value that he attached to the sock, it's a key word, the value that he attached to the sock, I was able then to understand a little bit more so why he was so upset. Does that mean my socks are still all over the floor? They are, but we were able to negotiate a resolution. So one of the things that we discovered through that was our differences on how we see clean, our differences on what clean means, and our differences on what socks represent. I don't know if you've had conversations like this in your house about where maybe it's the dishes in the sink, out of the sink, it's the laundry in the hamper, out of the hamper, it's the bathroom clean or not clean, and how you have conversations around that in your house can certainly influence the conflict in the relationship. And if you have, go ahead and just type that in the comments and let me know. Because I know I'm not alone, but it's always nice to know I'm not alone, right? Like, nobody wants to feel like they're alone in these situations. So through that discussion, though, when I opened up and released my judgment and explored his vision of what socks meant, then he was able to release his judgment a little bit and explore what they did not mean to me. And so within that conversation, what we found out is that we both have a value for a clean house. Absolutely, we both want to have a clean house. But what a clean house meant, our definition, the things that had to happen were a little different. And so in order to release his stress, he had given his power away to me. He was angry when the socks were on the floor, and he gave his power away to do something about it to me. He was waiting for me to pick up my socks. And in waiting for me to do so, with the mindset that they don't matter, I was never picking up my socks in the timeline he wanted them. So his power was continually given away, and he was continually getting angry and upset at me for not picking up my socks. This is a huge thing. When he realized he was doing that, then we were able to negotiate a resolution. Now this might sound a little, I'm going to fast forward a whole lot here now and just kind of give you the bare bones, here's what we decided, because I have some issues with how he works in the house too, and it has worked both ways. My issue is the dishes. His issue is the socks. And so what we came down with is in order to regain our power and feel happy and joy in our relationship, we had to decide to do something, right? Because power is about action. We had to decide that we were going to do something that was going to remove the barrier that was standing in the way between our happiness and our outcome. And for him, it was the socks. And so you know what? When he sees them, he's still not gratefully happy that they're on the floor, but he will pick them up and put them away where he wants them so that it does not become a block for him in our relationship, and he does not become rooted in disappointment and frustration and anger. He takes his power back. What a beautiful thing. Now the same is true for dishes. When I come in the kitchen and I see the dishes aren't done and I'm annoyed, I also know I have power and I'll just do the dishes. Really, it's not that big of a deal. So in terms of socks and divorce, it's not the object. It is what the object means, and that's what we need to get to. So that's one of the things I teach him at Conquer Conflict Masterclass. And so if you are interested in getting in on that class, I do have a new masterclass starting March 2nd or 3rd. It's the Tuesday, March 3rd. I just started one in February here. We are having fabulous successes already with only 1 week into the course. We're having great stories, and I would like for you to also get in on that. Now there is an application, and I'm going to be doing some webinars in the future to talk a little bit more about that, but if you are a fast action kind of person, you know you want to get in on that, you want to reduce the issue of socks or dishes or laundry in your relationship, I'll put the link below where you can apply. There's only 10 people coming in. That's it. I like a small class so we can maximize the impact for you, okay? All right, so the lesson and the moral of that story about socks and divorce is that they are not connected. But we try to connect them so desperately, right? We either leave our jobs, we leave our friends, we put up walls between our neighbors, all because of an object. I'm asking you to lean in, suspend judgment, lean in and understand, and within that understanding, you're going to find the answers. Then your only decision you'll have to do is, what will I do with that information? It's been a pleasure having you here. If you're just watching in, you're going to be watching the replay here. You can always put hashtag replay in the comments so I know that when you are answering that you are also watching the replay, and I'll try to get back to you in your responses. Right? Until next time, make it a great day, guys.